With this new body, your husband is mine, sis.
When there are two sisters, one gets all the love and attention, while the other feels ignored and forgotten. That's when jealousy starts growing quietly and bitterness begins to build. That's exactly what happened between me and my own sister. She even went as far as getting a BBL just to steal my husband. And after that, everything that happened next completely changed our lives forever. But before I get into the full story, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from. I really want to know how far this crazy story has reached. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy. Amanda injured her knee when she was still a baby. It wasn't a big injury, but it bled enough to frighten her. Limping, she walked into the room where her parents were sitting with the baby. "Mommy," Amanda said in a trembling voice, pointing at her knee. Amanda's mother didn't even look up. Her father completely ignored her too. "Amanda, can't you see your sister needs to rest?" her mom snapped. Amanda simply watched the scene with a calm face, then quietly walked away, like she had done 1,000 times before. That had always been the pattern where Amanda was overlooked, while Chinaza was adored. Even their aunties laugh and say Amanda was the practice child and that they finally got it right when they had Chinaza naturally. Comments like that made Amanda's boil with anger from a young age. After all, Amanda was the loud one and Chinaza was the calm one, while Amanda was still growing into her looks, as they loved to say. And that was just how life had treated her. It had become the usual pattern. No matter how hard Amanda tried to resist it, she started resenting her little sister more than she resented the people who always compared them. But she never showed it. Amanda understood that revealing her bitterness toward the child her parents clearly adored more would only make things worse. So she did what most big sisters do. She defended Chinaza from bullies, shared her things with her, and buried her jealousy deep inside, carrying it silently like a secret. And to be fair, Chinaza made it easier sometimes. Even after everything, she stayed sweet with Amanda, constantly reminding her how much she cared, always choosing her side in little innocent ways. But sadly, those small moments of comfort were never going to be enough. Because one day, the resentment Amanda had forced down for so long would burst in a way neither of them ever expected. As they grew older, their bond didn't completely snap, thus it weakened. Then, when Amanda was 27 and Chinaza was 24, tragedy struck. They received a call one day. Their parents had died in a bus accident. The news crushed them completely, and they held onto each other through the pain until their bodies ached. But grief, however, did not stop life from moving forward. After the burial, reality hit them fast. With their parents' rented home almost due to expire and no place of their own, they had no choice but to quickly figure out how to survive. Chinaza decided to focus on catering and gave it her all. Spending years beside their mother in the kitchen had shaped her skills, and she knew how to cook meals that felt like home. At first, customers were few, but she stayed consistent, and slowly her hard work began to show results. Amanda, on the other hand, struggled to settle. She jumped from one thing to another: nails, lashes, hairdressing, even running a mobile money stand. Nothing truly held her interest. Anytime things became stressful, she simply quit and moved on. When the rent finally ended, Chinaza had saved enough to secure a new place, but Amanda hadn't. But Chinaza refused to abandon her older sister to life on the streets. "Amanda, don't worry," she said confidently. "I have enough money now, so start packing. We are leaving soon." Amanda didn't even have to think about rent anymore. She smiled and hugged Chinaza tightly. But deep inside, something didn't sit right. She was the older sister, yet now she was the one depending on her younger sibling. And behind Chinaza's generosity, Amanda could almost feel the pity, like a silent reminder that she had failed where her sister had succeeded. The bitterness grew stronger each day, and something was coming. Something that would finally push Amanda past her breaking point. Everything started the day Chinaza secured the biggest catering contract of her life, an end-of-year celebration for a powerful oil company. When the confirmation alert popped up on her phone, she let out a loud scream and spun around the kitchen in pure excitement. Almost at once, her joy was followed by a familiar thought. Amanda, her older sister, still hadn't found stable work. And even though Chinaza had been holding things down at home without complaint, she knew the lack of direction was slowly wearing at Amanda's confidence. She found Amanda sitting quietly in her room and smiled. Sis, guess what? I just landed a massive job. I'm handling catering for an oil company's party. Amanda's expression slowly shifted. For just a second. Something close to jealousy passed through her eyes. She quickly masked it and nodded. That's nice, she said calmly. Chinaza hesitated, then added gently, I was thinking you could come along and help me. It's a huge event and we could handle it together. Amanda's expression hardened. Was this sympathy or a subtle reminder that Chinaza had moved on and was striving? She dismissed it with a small wave. I'm okay, she said. I don't feel like going anywhere. Chinaza paused, studying her for a moment, then gave a quiet nod and let it go. The event itself was relentless. This streamed in without pause. Conversations overlapped, and Chinaza barely had a second to catch her breath. Compliments about the food poured in. People wanted to know who prepared it, asked for business cards, and hinted at future bookings. Right in the chaos, she turned too fast and bumped straight into someone. She froze, heart skipping. The man in front of her had a calm presence, pleasantly handsome, with warm eyes and a relaxed smile. Sorry about that, he said lightly. I wasn't paying attention. It's okay, Chinaza answered, flustered. They exchanged names. His was Abuka for reasons she couldn't quite explain. He didn't leave. He stayed back, helping her balance trays, shift tables, and quietly checking in whenever the rush became too much. Later, she discovered he was actually a senior executive at the company, a revelation that only made him more intriguing. By the time the night wrapped up, they had exchanged their numbers. Days that followed, Chinaza refused to let fear, uncertainty, stand in her way. So she didn't tell her sister, as she knew her sister would never be in support of it. So she didn't tell. She just allowed herself to trust him. Abuka was gentle yet deliberate, sincere, in a way she had never known before. Days quietly stretched into months, and their bond grew with ease and intention. And from a distance, Amanda observed it, all her bitterness, carefully hidden behind a composed mask she had found out a week ago when she saw them in a restaurant, both chatting like lifelong best friends. One evening, Chinaza came home radiant. Her eyes sparkled, her joy impossible to miss. He proposed, she said. Amanda's smile tightened, fragile and forced. I am happy for you, she replied, even as her blood boiled. The wedding dominated every conversation in Lagos. It was lavish, breathtaking, and planned down to the smallest detail. Standing beside her sister as maid of honor, Amanda wore a carefully rehearsed smile. Beneath it, jealousy simmered, sharp and relentless. Chinaza had married before her, and not just any man, but one blessed with wealth and status. The thought gnawed at her relentlessly. If only she had attended that event. Chinaza had told her to come to Koma. She told herself she would have been the first to catch his eye. She would have been the bride in white, basking in love and admiration. As the music and laughter swelled around her, Amanda made a silent vow that she shared with no one. She would not let this go, whatever it cost her. She was determined to reclaim what she believed belonged to her. Months slipped by after the wedding. Chinaza and Abuka settled easily into married life, growing comfortable in the spacious duplex Abuka owned, surrounded by wealth and routine that seemed to come naturally to them. Amanda, however, was left behind. She remained in the modest flat she once shared with her sister, a place in which Chinaza still covered without a single complaint. From that quiet space, Amanda observed everything. She watched from a distance, waited for the right moment, and carefully mapped out ways to fracture their union. Time was her ally. For months, she gathered information, refined her plan, identified the ideal clinic, rehearsed the perfect story, and waited, calm, patient, and certain until the moment she could finally set everything in motion. Now it was time to execute her plan. For weeks, Amara had circled the same thought in her mind, searching for the one thing she could possess that Chinaza could not. Then, clarity struck. A transformation. A body reshaped, refined, something impossible to ignore. She convinced herself that no man, no matter how devoted, could resist the pull of a surgically perfected figure. In her mind, this was more than confidence. It was strategy. This would be the key to Abuka, and the timing couldn't have been more perfect. The clinic she had spent months obsessively researching, Kuvi Girl Land in Lagos, Nigeria, had just announced a 30% discount on BBL procedures. To Amanda, it felt like fate's awakening. A promotional offer on BBL procedures, and Amanda decided she wasn't going to miss it. She sat down and ran the numbers carefully, weighing every detail. Between the surgery itself, flights, accommodation, aftercare, and recovery costs, the bill climbed to 38,000 naira. It was far beyond what she could afford on her own. Still, Amanda wasn't worried. Her younger sister had recently married a wealthy oil tycoon and had always found it hard to refuse her. That afternoon, Abena dialed her sister's number and slipped effortlessly into character. The moment Iyua picked up, Abena let her voice quiver, breathing unevenly as if she were on the verge of collapse. "Chinaza, it's serious," she whispered. "Things are really bad." Chinaza panicked instantly. "Slow down, Amanda. What's going on? What happened?" Amanda wasted no time. She claimed her friend's mother back in the village, barely holding on. She needed to rush and support her friend in taking care of her, but money was urgently required for surgery. According to her, everyone had already started contributing, but sadly, it's not enough. "So I was wondering if you could lend me some money. It was suspicious, yes." But Chinaza brushed it off. "Sure, sent me your account details. I will forward some money to you, Chinaza." "Thank you so much. God will bless you," Amanda said. "No worries," Chinaza replied enthusiastically, then hung up. Amanda smiled evilly to herself. Phase 1 of her plan was complete. This is where part 1 ends. If you want to know where and whether Amanda succeeds in snatching Abuka, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss part 2.